What's up, y'all? It's me, it's your boy Asmongold, and today we're going to be talking about something that I've kind of wanted to talk about for a while, but I never really had, I guess, like an idea to do it, and so I read something about this today, and I figured, fuck it, let's just make a video about this, see what other people think. This is going to be about like the vote kick system and a lot of the other restrictions that they put into it since it was, I guess, implemented in Wrath of the Lich King. The main issue that I have with the vote kick system right now is that it limits the amount of kicks that you can make in a group. I'll talk to you guys about this for a minute. Like the goal with all of the limitations was to basically cut down on toxic behavior or assholes or whatever else. And the fact of the matter is that it actually made it worse. And one example of this is that the limitation with vote kick and 5-mans. Now, guys, I mean, I'm a fucking asshole. Like, I can tell you guys every single limitation that exists in 5-man kicks, and also probably in LFR too. In a 5-man, the last time I checked, you're only able to kick one player. Okay, so you're only able to kick one player unless another player is actually offline. And so unless that other person is actually offline, like not online at all, you are not able to kick more than 2 people in a 5-man. So, for example, let's say you're doing this. The reason that I'm doing this video is that in Warlords of Draenor, heroics are not going to be a face roll. Heroics are going to be more or less a calculated face roll, which is a little bit harder than they are now. And so the problem with that is that whenever you have you're randomly selected to, you get put into like a 5-man group with like all kinds of different random people, and like let's say you have a great group, like I'm in your group and it goes fucking great. Or you can have a group with some moron who just barely had to have somebody else play their account to get the silver mode proving grounds achievement. Okay, and so there's a huge difference between who you can get queued up with in Warlords of Draenor. Not to saying that I'm some kind of a fucking god or something like that, but I'll probably be able to do a lot of the pulls correctly and at least know what I'm doing. And there will be a lot of people who are not able to do that. And also they're not willing to learn, and there's just a million other things that can go wrong, right? And so let's say you queue up for Iron Docks. Iron Docks is a really good one, and you wipe 3 or 4 times, and it's because your healer can't do the healing, or standing in the fire on the first boss or something like that. Any number of things, right? And then you kick your healer out because they're not doing their job, and then you get another healer, and that healer is also not doing their job. And so you're stuck here with this player, and you're unable to kick them out, and you basically have no control at this point over your success in this group or not. And I think that that is a huge, huge problem. One of the best things that I liked about Warcraft is that you really were kind of like the master of your own destiny. You kind of make things happen the way you want them to, and it gave the players a lot of control. And I understand why they tried to get rid of a lot of those things, because especially in Wrath of the Lich King, if you guys don't remember, there was the whole gear score thing. Guys, I had a 5.7k gear score. I remember that right now, okay? I got Heroic Bryn Troll, went up to a 6.2, all right? Like, I can remember that even though it was 5 years ago, because it was so, so, so important, okay? And I never had Shadowmourne. Fuck, right? So anyway, the point here is that if you didn't have, like, let's say 5k gear score, you get queued up into a dungeon and they just kick you out immediately. That's what happened. And honestly, that's what happened about, to me personally, never. And I'm not talking about, oh yeah, of course they never kicked out my warrior. I'm talking about like my terrible druid that had like a healing gear and it was a tank. Like, I was never, ever, ever kicked out of any group because of my gear, right? And so the probability of that happening, I would say, is probably less than 1%. But the possibility of it happening is real. I mean, of course that can happen. There are assholes in the game. But the problem now is that those assholes are actually given so much more protection under Blizzard. And it's not only assholes. I'm not talking about like people who are malicious. I'm talking about people who are willfully ignorant and also just plain out rude. They refuse to like learn how to do the fights. Just all kinds of different problems that, I mean, honestly, I can't even think of because there's just so many of them. And so it gives all of these different players protection under Blizzard, and it also forces other players. This is the part that I really don't like, guys. It forces other players to have to make this other player successful, or if they don't want to make this person successful, I guess you could say, because like obviously if you take this person into your group and you clear the instance for them and they get carried, pretty much you're making them successful. They didn't really do it on their own. What you're pretty much doing is you're forcing players to carry other players. And I hate that idea. Like, I don't want to be forced to play with somebody who I think sucks, right? And people can say, I'll preemptively give some of the arguments to my argument, or the oppositional arguments to mine here. One person could say, well, you can queue it up from your server and just go directly in and kick as many people out as you want. Realistically, guys, that's not going to happen. I don't remember the last time I saw a pug happening in trade chat for any sort of 5-man, except for it's like level 89s thinking that they can do heroic or something stupid like that. And so that almost never happens. And so if nobody's really going to join your group, for one, and also there are a lot of other servers that have almost nobody on them. And so the probability of being able to find somebody is extremely low. And so it kind of forces people into using the group finder, which is a good thing, except for the fact that I think that the group finder has so many restrictions put into place that it protects. It's like if you're getting kicked out of dungeons all the time, right? Maybe there's not a problem with everybody else. Maybe there's a problem with you. You know, if you're the common denominator, you're probably also the problem. And so the real issue I see here again, guys, is it's this idea of entitlement. And so is that these people are, it's like whenever you queue up, whenever you queue up for a heroic, you're not queuing up with bots. You know, this isn't Guild Wars 2. This isn't Skyrim. This isn't, I don't even know, like some other video game like Halo, and you've got little Marines helping you. No, these are other real people who have, you know, real life obligations and everything else that they're tied to. This game is not, you know, that this game is not tailored around this individual. And one of the things that I used to like about WoW is that it kind of, it gave you a place to where you could engage in activities and engage with, I guess, like events and organizations and everything larger than yourself. And so it's not just, this is not just based around your personal opinion or how much time you have to play or anything else like that. This is based around everybody else's opinion. And so when you're fucking up, you're not only wasting your own time, you're wasting 4, 24, 39, you know, 9, whatever you want to call it, that 19 now, other people's time by making this mistake. And so you always have to keep that in mind. And so whenever somebody queues up for a heroic, they are taking other people's time, and they're saying that, you know, basically, I'm going to, I guess, like, do this thing with you, and if they're terrible, if they're shitty at the game or whatever, they are wasting 4 other people's real-life time by being shitty at the game. Now, I have no problem with people who are shitty at the game, right? I don't give a fuck. But the problem is that I don't want to have to be forced to play with them. And being able to, and like you can say, oh, you can requeue or something like that. You really can't requeue, okay? And there's a couple of reasons for that. Obviously, if you're a DPS, your queue times are like over 30 minutes sometimes. And so if you're a person that has, like, let's say, like, not like me, that doesn't have all day to play, like, I don't have all day to play, but I have a lot of time to play. And so I can sit through another requeue. It's not really a big deal. Do something else in the meantime. But if you're somebody who has a job, has a family, whatever, you don't really have time to sit through 3 or 4 requeues because of somebody who's a fucking dumbass, right? And so you're stuck with this person, pretty much. And you're unable to, as I said again, control your own destiny in the game. I think that players, like, I don't even know why I have to say this, is that players should be able to choose who they play with. Even if it's for stupid reasons, they should be able to choose who they play with absolutely no restrictions. Like, I think that, yo, guys, by the way, I saw on the pre-made group finder that you can't look for people, you can't require an item level that's higher than your own. Good call, Wizard. That was a good one. Okay, that was ridiculous. Okay. But besides that, really, I mean, like, except for like a couple of like very minute, you know, exceptions, guys, I really think that you should be able to be in complete control of your destiny in all ways, shapes, and forms in the game, okay? And that is who you play with. And so even if I think the group finder should just be a tool that just connects players to other people, not it kind of just puts them on this assembly line and you can't really get off the assembly line, or only one person get off the assembly line in a 5-man, something like that. It's kind of ridiculous. And I really don't like this because I think it fosters a mentality that other players are entitled to, like a bad player, let's say, is entitled to good players' time. Not good player, I mean, not good. I mean, just like people who are competent, they're entitled to being carried through a certain dungeon because they cannot be removed by the other group. And so they have to carry this person through here. And so this person has like this idea of entitlement, like, hey, you know, I'm in this dungeon, you know, they can't get rid of me, they have to deal with me. And so it just creates a horrible, horrible environment, in my opinion. And I really, really hope that they do something about that, because the problem that I'm seeing is like, yeah, this was kind of stupid in Mists of Pandaria, but honestly, as I said before, the dungeons were so piss easy it didn't even matter. But in Warlords of Draenor, they're not going to be that easy, okay? And so you're going to be a lot more people who are unable to, I guess, like cut it in heroics, and the fact that you can't remove them for 4 hours or something like that is ridiculous. And so you're kind of stuck in this catch-22 where you can either requeue and spend however much more time trying to find somebody else, or you can sit in here and keep wasting your time. And so it's punishment for casual, competent players who are trying to just get something done, and they're unable to because of somebody who's decided to be shitty, or they don't want to learn the content, or they're just unprepared. Like, as I said before, again, guys, whenever you go into a dungeon, whenever you go into anything in Warcraft with other players, these are real people. And so it's not like these people play and pay their subscription and play the game for you. I mean, you could think like that. I mean, that's like kind of like a sociopathic way to look at it, and that's fine. But that doesn't mean that should be acceptable, and that should be the way that Blizzard facilitates the game. And so that's, I don't know, guys. Like I'm pretty wrapped up. I'm kind of mad about this, because it's like WoD is going to be coming out in a few days, and I'm kind of dreading having to do 5-mans with people who don't really know how to do the 5-mans, won't read the dungeon journal, won't even watch like a few minute video on how to do the dungeon. You could watch my own, by the way. But either way, you don't really have, as I said before, I would not have control over who I bring into this dungeon. And also there are all kinds of other rewards that you get for queuing into a dungeon randomly, like you get the bag and stuff like that. So you have to forego these rewards and all of this added convenience, just so you can have the control to play with the people that you want, or at least not have to play with somebody who you don't want to play with. And so I really think that this is something that needs to be addressed, because it creates a very toxic environment, and it's very unrewarding for people who do try and do put in a lot of effort, and they just don't get anything out of it because they have other people who aren't trying, and they just hold them back and they waste their time. And again, this is not really something for hardcore players. Hardcore players will not really be affected by this very much, because we'll find a way to get it done anyway. Like, I'll do it with my guild all the time. Like, I'm not even going to be playing with a lot of randoms until by the point that everybody's like geared out enough to where it doesn't really make that much of a difference. And so this really affects like casual players who still want to get something done, like people who have a specific time frame that they can play this game, and they're not really able to, I guess, like play that much outside this time frame. Like, if you only got 2 hours and you have to re-queue, I mean, that could take maybe a fourth of your game time, just because you can't remove somebody who's not doing their job. And so my ideal solution to this, guys, is that all of the kick restrictions are just completely removed. And it goes back to, I think that having the 4 players, if it's a group of 3 people, they can't kick out the other 1 person unless the other person in the group agrees to it also. You need to have 4 people to kick out the last person. That's kind of a good idea, but at the same time, that's like a very rare thing. Like, I've never had that happen in Wrath and ICC and everything like that. I never had that happen. I know that everybody's had like horror stories of this happening once or twice, but I don't think that we should inconvenience the entire playing population here just because of a few assholes. It's not really worth it, and I think that there are a lot of better ways to deal with that. And obviously, I don't really have the magic solution, but I think inconveniencing everybody for the sake of making 1 or 2 people not get kicked out because of some jackass is not really going to be a solution that's going to help most people. So I didn't really have a lot of video notes for this. I just kind of had my own opinion, I guess. And so hopefully this wasn't too, I guess, like, I don't know, back and forth and, incoherent. So I hope that you guys understand where I'm coming from. If you disagree with me or whatever, you want to have a discussion about this, let me know, because I think it's an issue. I think it needs to be addressed, and it'd be really good if people started talking about it. So that's pretty much all I got. Thanks for watching, and like, comment, subscribe.